Welcome everyone to Rose Dolores Budget Credit 360 Boot Camp. I am rolling out this segment because I want you guys to understand the importance of building credit. Many of you guys may know that, I started building credit in 2012. It all started with, it was just a light bulb on me because before I didn't believe in credit. I believed that cash was king. I didn't know nothing about credit. I didn't know the importance of it. I was saying to myself, all I need is the cash. Like if I have the cash, then I can get what I want. But understanding the importance of credit is just meaning you have good amount of leverage. A lot of us do not have $10,000 sitting up in our mattress or in the bank. None of us have $300,000 to buy a house. So we are going to roll up on someone's bank and ask them for money. So just like if anybody was to come to you and ask you for money, is the same rule apply? Are they trusted? So you have to ask yourself, are you trusted? So if you're looking into credit today, I just want you guys to know the basis of credit is building trust. That's the number one rule. Just like how you will want someone to pay you right back if they borrow money from you, the same thing with credit. I have a little bit of information to share with you, but I'll make sure that I'll add some more. We'll have additional classes after this, but I want to get you guys to the basics, like the basics of how credit scores are calculated, how to build credit so we can get you on your way. Most of you guys have been in my program for the past month or two, going on 3, some of you, and it's time for us to start building credit right now because credit repair is just one part, but majority of the other part is about building credit. What are you doing right now into the future and in building credit and building trust? So if most of you guys haven't built credit, it's time to start right now. So I'm going to show you guys how to build credit, and then we'll go from there. So it all takes a little bit of knowledge. Once you apply that knowledge, you'll know exactly what to do, because I do not want some of you and all of you to be confused as to what's going on, especially when you start seeing scores dropping here and there. I don't want you guys to feel like it's not working and then you just be done with it. So that's the reason why I'm taking the time to give you this little bit of education, and then we'll go from there. And then at the end of this presentation, you just let me know if you have any questions, if there's anything else you would like for me to add onto the slide. I tried my best to put this together, but if there's anything else that's missing, let me know. I'm all about perfecting this information so that way you guys can have a full understanding. I don't want you guys to be lost in the whole process. All right, so let's get started. So this is Credit Building One-on-One with me, Rosalore Lewis. So the first question is, what is credit? Your credit report is what I like to refer to as your adult report card. It's supposed to be a representation of your character, but we all know that's not fair to say. It does break down your interactions with those who extend money to you. That is credit. I like to put in my words, the ability to buy now and pay later. That's also credit. What is credit? Your credit report is like what I like to refer to as your adult report card. It's supposed to be a representative of your character, but we all know that's not fair to say. It does break down your interactions with those that extend money to you. Also, credit to me is the ability to buy now and pay later. And then it also gives you the ability and the opportunity to have access to capital. So I know some of you, when you guys answer my questionnaire, what are you looking to do with your credit? Most of you say you want to buy a home. Most of you guys say that you want to get out of debt. Some of you say you just want to learn about credit, which is good. I think we should all have that foundation set, especially when we're now adults. We should have that foundation set, whether you are going to use credit or not. But when you are ready, at least you are ready. It's better to be ready now than to be in a hurry and try to get it together. Because I'm going to show you the breakdown of how your scores are calculated in the next slide. So that's pretty much what credit is. I'm not sure how many of you guys know that credit affects you getting a job. Did you guys know that?
Rose, I can't see. This is Laura. I can't see your screen.
You can't see my screen? Okay, can anybody else see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
You can see it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can see it.
Are
I can
you
see
on,
it.
Lori, are you on your phone?
Yes, I am. Don't worry. Go ahead. And you'll send the slide anyway. Go ahead.
I will. Yes. Okay. So how many of you guys know that it affects you getting a job? Did you know that? Yes, no?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes, creditors do well, no, I'm sorry. Some employers, they do pull your credit report, especially if you're working in the finance industry, if you want to work at a bank, if you want to work where there's high-tech equipments there, they want to know what type of character are you, because if you are not representing yourself credit wise, financially, they tend to look at that across the board. If you're very careless and neglectant of your credit, they tend to look at that like that's your view overall in life. Is not fair to say, but some of us are just not knowledgeable in credit and we just never have gotten started. So that's not fair that they are placing that on us, but most are looking at that, at your credit score. It doesn't even matter if you have a MBA or a PhD. If your credit's not right, they rather give it to someone that is qualified, and that credit score does play in the determination of whether they're going to hire you or not. So having your credit right and on point is what you need. Also, it affects you getting insurance. Auto insurance, it affects your auto insurance. So if some of you guys are paying high premiums, it affects you. Alongside with all the other excuses I've heard, like, oh, there's many accidents in your area, a lot of claims being filed in your area. I don't know really the breakdown of that, but I know that auto insurance, they do check your credit, and that will determine what your premiums will be on your auto insurance. It also affects you if you're trying to start a business. If most of you are trying to start a trucking business, credit repair business, any type of business that requires you to get a bond, they check your credit. And that bond will determine how much your monthly payments would be. For someone that have over a 700 credit score, can get a bond that's about $1,200 and be broken into 12 months, and they paying $100 a month. And someone with bad credit, their bond could be like $5,000, and they're making monthly payments on that, and their monthly payments is much higher than someone with good credit. So it affects you there. It affects you in your auto insurance. I'm sorry, not auto insurance. The interest rates that you're paying on your car. I did have that somewhere in there, but most of you guys are looking to buy a home, and I'll show you the difference between the home. I usually show the car, but a lot of you guys want to buy a home, so I want to show you the difference in the points, in the interest points between two, good credit and bad credit. All right, and in a lot of other areas, it affects us in many ways. It affects us in over 85% of our life's decision. So if you're wondering why can I save, especially if you're financing anything, if you're wondering why you cannot save, is because you're purchasing with bad credit. That's the penalty that you pay because you're not trusted. And they tend to prey on people with bad credit. And I'll talk about that later. Now, 5 ways to build credit. Let me start off here. So 5 ways to build credit. I listed did I list the 5? 1, 2, 3? Yeah, I did list 5. The first one is applying for a secure card. Hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second, you guys. Okay, so the first one is applying for a secure card. How many of you guys have secure cards? You guys can type in the chat. Can you guys see the chat at the bottom? You can type 1 if you have a secure card. You can type 2 if you don't have one. Now, the secure card is when you have to deposit money into a credit card, into your trade line, and that will determine your accessible credit. And based on how you use that credit card will determine the amount of points that you use, because I'm going to show you in the next slide how your scores are calculated. So how many of you guys have credit cards? Yes, no? Yes? Okay, you have one? Okay. Anybody else? Okay, anybody else? Okay, now if you're building your credit score from scratch, you'll need to start with a secure credit card. A secure credit card is backed by cash deposit you make up front, and the deposit amount is usually the same as your credit limit, as I mentioned already. So if you put up $500, that will be your credit line for that particular card. If you have 2 secure credit cards, you put 500, 500, then that will total up an accessible credit of $1,000. I started off that way when back in 2012. I had to get a secure card because my credit wasn't good enough for them to give me their money to build my credit on. So I had to put 500 on a Capital One, and then I had to put 500 with a credit card that I had with my credit union. So I had a total accessible credit of $1,000. And I'll share with you guys how to use that on the next slide. We'll break down how you're supposed to use your card. All right, so now you'll receive your deposit back if you were to close out the card. So say if you had the 2 $500 card and you were to close out the card and you have a 0 balance, you get the $500 back on both cards. Now say if you decide to close out the card and you have a balance, let's say $250 on one card and $100 on the other, then you'll get $250 back on one, and then you'll get $400 back on the other. Did I say 150 and 100? 150, whatever I said. So you'll get back that much on the other card, and then they'll take the balance that you have left off the deposit that you put on that card. So it's not like you're losing out on money. Now I'm going to share with you guys a trick for those of you that haven't built any credit. I had to rewire the way I got started, because a lot of people, when you tell them, hey, you got to put $200 up on a card, some people think that they're losing out on the money, not knowing that they actually get that money back when they close out on a card, as long as there's no balance. Or if there is a balance, then it comes off the $200. So instead of looking at it as a loss, because it's not a loss, look at it as a savings account. I had to rewire my brain and think that way. So if I have $500 sitting up in my bank account that I don't touch because it's my savings account, I took that 500 and I put it towards my unsecured card so I can start building credit. So it was working for me, and I had to look at it as that was a savings account on a card. So if I never touched that money, but I was letting it work for me to build credit, if I use $100 off that secured card, then I will put the money right back. That's how I looked at it. Because even if I was to pull money out of my secured card, out of my savings account, I put the money right back because it's my savings account. I shouldn't be touching that money. So you want to look at it that way. If you are starting off with a secure card, look at it as a savings account, a money that you did not want to touch. So as you're building and using it, just put the money right back. Just put the money right back. But I'll teach you guys also the importance of, again, how to use the credit card and how it affects you. Now, next, apply for a credit builder loan. Instead of a personal loan, you can apply for a credit builder loan. What a credit builder loan is like a CD. You know, it's like a certificate of deposit. You put money in it and you just let it sit there. But this is almost like a loan. So what you'll do, you'll be putting money into the credit builder loan, and what happens, it will report to all three credit bureaus. So it will report to TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. So you'll be on a 12-month plan, and you can choose between $25, $50, $100 a month to put towards that loan. And then once you make that payment on time, because it'll deduct from your your checking account or your savings account, however you set it up, they will take the amount that you choose to take out of your bank account to put towards the credit builder loan. And when you put it towards the credit builder loan for the year, you get to take that money out. So it's your money, but you're putting money into it, and it will report as a loan that you're paying back, but it's actually you putting money into your savings. So I have a link for that for those of you that don't have an installment loan on your credit. I'll share with you that link to get you guys started on that, because you need a minimum of 2 credit cards and 1 installment loan to actually start establishing some good credit, and also establishing some good amount of points on your credit points on your credit score as well. All right, so now a secure card, I'm sorry, let me take that back. The secure card is not meant for you to use forever. The purpose of a secure card is to qualify you for a card that doesn't require a deposit, which is an unsecured card. An unsecured card is their money that you're building credit with. So if any of you guys have a secure card and it's been more than 6 months, try to look out for unsecured cards to start applying for that and close out the secure card. It was just there to only help you build credit until they can trust you with their money to start building credit from that point on. So if any of you guys have secure cards, start looking out for any invitations from Capital One, Discover, American Express, if you've gotten to that point, and things like that. So you want to look out for those creditors that's giving you really good reward points. And I'll make that for the next class, choosing the right cards. I'll talk about it on the next class, but right now we'll just stick to building the credit. All right, so next is becoming an authorized user on someone else's credit card. How many of you guys ever heard of that? Authorized user on someone else's credit card. Nope. Okay. Now, what an authorized user is, you can have a family member or a significant other. If they're willing to add you as an authorized user on their card, that will actually help your credit. That will actually help your credit. So, as an authorized user, you'll enjoy the access of a credit card and you'll build history, but you aren't legally obligated to pay for your charges. So if someone was to add you onto their credit card, they're obligated to pay for your charges. You can pay them towards it. Come on, you don't want to like use their card for free, but you can pay your portion of what you use, but you'll get all of their history onto your credit. So say, for instance, your significant other built credit for the past 10 years. If they were to add you onto their credit card, you will get the 10 years of history, except for American Express. I know American Express don't backtrack all the way 10 years, but any other cards that I know of, they will backtrack the time that your significant other started building credit, say 2008. You'll get history from 2008 and from now on. But the warning sign, you want to ask them first. You want to ask them first, how much of a balance do you have on that card? Have they ever been late? in the past 2 years. Those are the two things that you want to know. And I'll explain it on the other the slide and tell you how that affects you. But you want to make sure that they do not have a high balance, like say over 30%, ideally under 10%. If they have a really high balance, that affects you. And again, I'll explain to you on a slide on how it's calculated. But you don't want to have someone that have a $10,000 card and then they already used $8,000 of it, because it will show $8,000 of utilization on your credit as well, and that will kind of mess up your utilization ratio. So you don't want to have some be on someone's credit card with a high balance. You don't want to be on someone's credit card with late payments as well, because that will show up on your credit as a late pay. So you definitely don't want to get on anyone's credit card if they have not been treating their credit well, or their credit card well. So now most of you are probably saying, well, I don't know if they are going to let me get on their on their credit card just like that and give me a credit card. But guess what? They do not have to give you that credit card. They can call and they can say, hey, I want to add Nisi on my credit card. And then they'll ask for Nisi's information, and then they can opt in and opt out and say, do not give Nisi a credit card. So what that means is that Nisi won't have the credit card, but she'll get all of the history reporting on her credit until that person decides to take you off. But you can stay on forever. You can ride out forever. So if someone trusts you enough, that's good. Any of you guys have kids? If you have kids, you can do the same. So if you have any kids that's rolling up on close to 18 years old, you can add them. Like once you start building credit, you can add them onto your credit card, on your credit card. You do not have to give them the credit card, so do not worry about them charging it up. But you can opt out of not giving them the credit card, but they'll have all of your history. This way, it jumpstarts your kid or your child in the world of good credit, just like that. So if they want to buy a house, if they want to buy a car, well, it's too early to buy a house. They need at least 2 years of work history. But if they want to buy a car on their own because they just landed a good job, they're responsible, they can pay their own car note. You don't got to co-sign for them. All you need to do is just add them onto your credit card, and they pretty much pick up at you, or they pick up your credit profile on their credit profile. So they get to see all of that on theirs, and that actually boosts up their score.
How much that one was?
Instead of co-signing and being responsible for it, add them as an authorized user. That's the best position to put them in. Do not co-sign for anybody. Because if they don't have good habits, that will affect you. If they do not pay their car note, if they don't pay their mortgage, if they don't pay their loans, if they don't pay their student loans, it affects you. So from this point on, while you guys are building credit, do not co-sign for anybody. That's one thing. All right, so next.
Miss who?
Miss Lisa.
What's that?
Uh-oh.
The one who used to work with Ella.
Hold on. Let me mute the person.
You're not getting that grown-up stuff.
A Bob.
You're not getting that. Shakaya didn't have that at 8th grade. She had a bun.
Uh-oh.
Baby, you just in the 8th grade going to the 9th grade. You don't need all of that stuff in your hair. Okay?
That's right. I like the half up, half down.
I'm only going to tell you one time, and that's it. I'm not going to keep repeating myself.
I'm sorry. I had to mute her. Okay. All right. So, all right. So, yeah. So as an authorized user, you can actually help out your child and get them jump started on good credit. Once you start building yours, you can help them build theirs, and pass that knowledge on to them as well on how to maintain their credit. Next, you can actually get credit from the rent you pay. There's actually a couple of companies out there that that will actually report your on-time payment from your rent. So if most of you guys are avid on-time payers on your rent, they will actually document that. Now, with that, it doesn't report to every it doesn't report on a lot of the credit reports. This one is under the FICO 9, and a lot of lenders do not use FICO 9, so they would not see that reporting like your on-time payment. But if you're trying to get a cell phone bill, open up any utilities or cable, or I believe in some parts, like if you're trying to buy a car, they can see that, but it's not really popular as of yet because the FICO 9 just came out in 2014 or 15. So a lot of lenders are not using that model. And I know most of you are like, what is that? I'll teach you guys that on a later time of what that is, because there's different scoring models out there when it comes to your credit score. After learning all this, I say there is really no such thing as a credit score. If you guys want to look this up, you don't got to take my word for it, but FICO stands for Fair Isaac Corporation. It was created by Bill Fair and Earl Isaac. They came up with this mathematical algorithm that calculates one's credit report. Pretty much what it does, it pulls the data from your credit report and it spits out a number. If you're wondering why there's so many different credit scores between the credit bureaus, it all depends on what's reporting on your credit right now. So whatever that's reporting on your credit right now is the data that it's pulling from, and then it spits out a number. So that's why that's why the numbers are not equal across the board. So when it comes to credit scores, I don't want a lot of you guys to focus on credit scores. I do want you guys to understand how it's calculated, but it's not really about a credit score, because someone can have a credit score of a 750 and they just started building credit. But if they don't have a solid credit foundation, if they don't have a solid foundation and solid history of credit, they can still get denied for a loan. So it doesn't even matter if you have a 700, if you have an 800. You may see some people that just started building credit and they got an 800 credit score, and you're like, man, I'm over here with a 580, and how you got an 800? You just started. It's only because their credit report is fresh. It has no negative. But because they got one credit card, they jumped up to 700 or they jumped up to 800, is because of the different algorithms. So I don't want you guys to get all frustrated with someone that's just starting off and get a high credit score, and then you are still stuck at where you are. It all depends on what's reporting on your credit right now that's spitting out that data. So why most of you guys came to me to fix your credit, I'm only trying to remove the negative item, and at the same time, you need to build. The building part is the most important thing. That's the reason why I'm putting this together, so you guys can understand we need to build credit if we want to get to the 700 credit score. So we're going to be starting that off now and start building credit from this point on. All right, so I'll teach you guys that how scores are calculated on the next slide. All right, the next thing, you want to build your credit with good habits. From this point forward, I want you guys to promise me that you guys will be building good habits from now on. Budgeting is one of them. I'm gonna be putting a class for you guys together on that, maybe sometime next week, and we're gonna put a budget together, because if you do not have a budget in place, you can easily fall right back into bad credit just like that. And it's all about money management. If you're not managing your personal funds, there's no way that you can manage your credit. Because if you got no funds, you can't pay what you got on your credit. So it's like you go right back into bad credit, and it's just going to undo everything that you're doing right now. So you want to start building the habit, and budgeting is number one on the list. Number one. Building a good credit score takes time. Probably at least 6 months. That's the reason why I told you guys 6 months is the best results. Once you start building credit, and then I start working on getting those negative items off, from that point forward, I take the training wheel off, and off you go. You have to keep, you have to maintain your credit from that point on. So it takes about at least 6 months with on-time payments. Practice these good habits to build your credit score and show your credit worthiness. You got to show that you are credit worthy to these banks. You got to show that you're credit worthy to these creditors, because that's what they're looking at. Just like someone, if they're worthy of your friendship, or you're worthy of their friendship, or of anyone that you're in a friendship with, you want to make sure that you trust that person, right? So you're going to look at all the qualities that they have, their characteristics, how they are in life, how their thought process, all that stuff. You want to jot down all that stuff before you call them your BFF. I don't know how people are determining who is your best friend, but you look for that. You look for loyalty. You look for for someone that's responsible. You look for someone that's a good communicator. You look for all those things. You look for people that you can trust. And that's the same type of relationship you want to build with creditors. Same thing. Because they don't know you from a can of paint. And you're rolling up in their bank asking them for $250,000 to buy a house. It's going to be like, so, let me see your credentials. I want to see your income. I want to see your bank statements. I want to see how long you've been at a job. I want to see your credit report. I want to see what went on with these other creditors that you haven't paid your bill on time. What happened? What's going on? Because guess what? They are in partnership with you because you're borrowing money from them. They own that house too. You don't have no say on that house until you paid your mortgage off. You pay off the principal balance. You're done with them, and that title is in your hand. If you don't got that title in your hand, they still got the title. So you are in business. That's their house too, because they are funding for you to get that house right now instead of later. Because how long is it going to take us to save up $250,000? So they want to make sure that you're trusted. So interest rates, if you're wondering what's the interest rate, an interest rate, what it means is a penalty. You're paying the penalty based on your credit. So the lower your credit score, the higher the penalty you pay, the higher the interest you pay. The higher the credit score you have, the lower the interest you pay, the lower penalty you pay, because your past shows that you pay off your obligation. If they see a repo on there, if they see any collection accounts on there, automatically they're going to see, or they're going to determine that you are a risky borrower. You're not trusted because you got past collections. Your past is your past. But with this information I'm giving you right now, at least you know, and you'll try even harder not to let things go into default, not to let things show up on your credit report. It's important to communicate with your creditors. If you're going to be late, you knew you're going to be late 3 weeks ago, call them. Let them know, look, in 3 weeks, I'm going to be short on funds. I just want to let you know that I may not be able to pay, but if there's something that you can work out with me, push my payment back, defer my payment, something to give you some type of relief that month, but do not let it go late, because it would take about 6 months to 9 months to rebound from one late payment, and that's setting you back. So, and then that can be a difference in your interest rate. You could be paying hundreds of dollars if you decided to buy a car 2 months after that late pay. You're not going to get the best interest rate that you would have gotten 2 months ago when you were never late. So it plays a really, really big factor. You want to make sure that you communicate with them, because once they report that, that's a taint in your character. And they tend to look at that one late. They don't care if you've never been late before that. But the fact that you were late one time, it's almost like you lied to me one time and it's hard for me to trust you again. You gotta work hard to now to the point where I can trust you again. So it's just like that in real life. They look at that too in business, Next, you want to keep your credit utilization low. Your utilization is your balance compared to your limit. Let me go to the next slide and I'll show you. Here. Okay, this is how your credit is calculated. What makes up your credit score? I want you guys to, now we're going to pull out our calculator on the next slide. But actually, let's pull out your calculator now. Everybody pull out their calculator. Let me know if you got your calculators out. Y'all got your calculators out? Ready? Okay, ready. I see Traquelia's ready. Anybody else ready? Got your calculators? Let's get it out, because I mean, I'm gonna share with you guys this math. If you guys understand the calculation, the formula, you guys gonna get it. I know we're going back to school. We're going back to school. I don't know how many of you guys love math, but I loved math in high school. So when I understand these percentages, it makes sense to me. So I don't want this to be foreign to you guys when you see that. I'm sure most of you guys seen this pie chart before. I'm going to explain to you how this pie chart works. You guys probably seen it on Credit Karma, how they calculate, you know, your utilization, your payment histories, and things like that. So I'm going to show you guys how it's done. All right, so I see majority of you guys are ready. All right. So the lowest credit score that you can get is a 300 when it comes to the FICO. The lowest you can get is a 300. The highest you can get is an 850. We all know that, right? So the highest credit score is an 850. So let's subtract 300 from 850, and what do you have? You can write down in the chat.
Wait, what was the question again?
You can subtract 300 from 850. Okay, so I see. Okay, so you got 550. Okay, 550. See 550? Okay, so that number is the amount of scores that you can gain or lose. You can lose a whole 550 points from 850. So if you had 850 and you close out all these credit cards, like credit cards, mortgages, and things like that, you'll drop a good amount of points. But you got 550 points that you can gain or lose. That's the room that we're working with, 550 points. All right, so let's remember that number. Now, you have the payment history. Your payment history makes up 35% of your score, which is 550. So 550 of that, if you want to know how many points you can gain or lose in that category, let's do this. 550 points times, we're going to do the percentage, 0.35, and tell me what you got. 550 points times 0.35. What do you have? All right. Good, Mello. Good. Okay. That's 192.5 points you can gain or lose in that history, right? In that category, which is your payment history. That reflects your on-time payments or any delinquencies. So delinquencies that fall under there are tax liens, bankruptcy, collection accounts, hospital bills, late payments, child support, anything that it reflects that. It reflects that your payment history. You can gain or lose in that category. So my job as your credit coach, your credit consultant, your credit strategist, your credit repair representative, my job is to remove that weight in that category. So if you have any late pays, tax liens, bankruptcies, anything that I had listed, I'm removing that weight so you can start gaining some points in that category. You can only max up to 192.5 points in that category. Understand? Okay, so my job is to get some points in that category, right? Okay, so now the other 4 categories, well, all 5 categories is up to you. You have to make sure that you pay your bills on time. That's very, very important. So I should not be seeing any late payments while you're in my program, because now you're just adding another monkey wrench into what I'm doing. So do pay your bills on time. It's important. From now on, pay your bills from this point on time, on time. And I'm going to show you guys how to, I don't know if many of you guys know how to read a bill, but I'm going to show you guys how to read a bill, because then you guys are going to know that you have ample amount of time to pay that bill because of the way the bill system works. Okay, so that's that. Let's move on to the next one. The next biggest part of your credit score is the capacity, which is 30%. So let's do the math. 550 points times 0.30. What do you have? All right, Trakelia, thank you. 165 points. 165 points in that category. If one of you or all of you, I know some of you guys have it, but if you guys do not have a credit card, if you know a family member that do not have a credit card, if you know anybody that don't have a credit card, you guys are actually missing out on 165 points, because that is the only credit product that calculates in that category. It calculates how much credit limits are available. So car notes don't fall there. Student loans do not fall there. Personal loans do not fall there. Only credit cards. So if you do not have a credit card, you're actually missing out on 165 points. So I'm going to be helping you guys. I'm going to be giving you guys some links to get started on building credit right now, because you can start gaining points in that category. Now, it's all a matter of how you use the credit. You can actually gain or lose 165 points in that category. So most of you guys probably heard, like, on a credit card, you don't want to be over 30%. Okay, we all know that. But that is not the actual number that you want to be at, really. 30%, if I want to take you guys deep on that, let's do, now that we know that it's 165 points, I'm going to show you, if you're at a 30% utilization, how much points you are actually holding hostage. So let's do 165 points, and let's multiply that by 30%, 0.30. How many points that is? 165 times 0.30. Okay. So when you hear people say, oh, if you had a credit card, just maintain a 30% utilization. Guess what? You just held 49.5 points just by keeping, okay, got it. Yeah, just by keeping a 30% utilization. So if you guys are at a 30% utilization, bring it down. If you want to see some points, bring that balance down, and you're going to see some points in that category. In that category. So ideally, you want to be at between 1 to 7%. 1 to 7% utilization. Now, I know some of you guys are probably asking, well, I mean, I got a $1,000 credit card. You mean to tell me I can only use 1 to 7%? Well, you can use the entire 1,000. You can. You can. You just don't want the balance to show more than 7% or more than 30%. You don't want the balance to show more than that, because every time your billing cycle closes with the credit bureau, with the creditor, like say if you were Capital One and your billing cycle is from, say, June 1st to June 30th, that's 30 days. Whatever you use within that 30 days, the credit bureaus do not see that. So if you go over 30% utilization within that 30 days, the credit bureaus do not see that. Only the creditors see that. Capital One sees that. Now, if you use 50%, try to pay it down before the 26th. before the 30th, because it takes about 3 days for it to reflect that you made a payment on that card. But bring it down to 7% or bring it down to 30% if you can't afford to pay back all the balances. Try to bring it down. Try to bring it down before the billing cycle closes on the 30th, because when the billing cycle closes on the 30th, that's what gets reported to the credit bureau. And that's how they recalculate your score. So if you want to gain some points, if most of you guys are over 30% right now, try to bring it down and you're going to see some points. Try to bring it down before the next billing cycle closes, and then you're going to see some points next month. But, you know, you can gain or lose 165 points easily, but you can easily gain it right back. It's not like when you're late, which is on that 35% right here, which is on that 35%. If you're late, it takes about 6 to 9 months to rebound from one late. If you have multiple cars, like say if you have 18 cars like I do. I have 18 cars. If you have 18 cars, it's easier for me to rebound a lot faster than someone that has 1 card or 2 cars, because I'm showing 18 on-time payments. Because every time each of my cards closes, it shows 1 on-time payment, 2 on-time payment, all the way up to 18 in that month, that 1 month. So it hits my credit 18 times from 18 different cards. Now, if you have 1 or 2 cards, it only hits 1 or 2 times, because you only have 2 cards to report every single month. So it's easier for me to rebound if I was late one time as opposed to someone that only have 1 or 2 cards. If you guys get me, you guys understand? Press a yes, yes, no, no. If you want me to clarify anything, let me know in the chat, and I'll repeat myself. All right, you got it? Okay, good. Okay, so the utilization, clarify the last part? Okay, clarify the last, okay. For someone, if you miss a payment one time, on your credit card, and you have only one credit account, it would take you longer to rebound from that one late payment as opposed to someone that have multiple credit cards. Like for myself, I have 18. So all my 18 cards, when it closes, it will hit 18 times that I made a payment. So if I don't know if many of you guys have Credit Karma, but if you go in Credit Karma right now and you open up the stats, you'll see, like, if you made on-time payment, it will show 100. Now, if you click on that where it tells you how many times you made your on-time payment, I think on mine I'm at 1,000 and something on-time payments, is because I have multiple cards reporting every month. I have 18 cards reporting every month. That's 18 hits. If I was late on 18 of my cards, that would be 18 hits I would get. It will hurt me if I miss a payment on all 18 of my cards, or say half of my cards. If I miss eight of my cards, I get 8 late payments. That's major. If some of you guys are have student loans, right? If some of you guys have student loans and you're late on your student loan payment and it's showing 18 or 14 or 16 different loan accounts, it will show that you were late 18 different times or 16 different times or 15 different times. So you don't ever want to be late. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the question. Hold on. I missed the question. Okay, so what about if the payment is late and you call the credit company for them to waive your late payment? Is that counted? No, it won't count against you. It won't count against you. It's actually good if you can call them and see if they're willing to waive the late payment. When it will count against you if you're 30 days late. If you ever look at your credit report and it shows 30, 60, 90, 120, okay, that means that it was that many days from the last due date. So say for instance you owe a bill, you owed a bill today, right? On the 16th, and you missed today's payment. You paid it the next day. You were just only hit with the late fee. That's the first warning. You getting hit with the late fee. You don't ever want to get hit with the late fee. Like, you could do so much with $35. You can do so much with that. So don't settle for a $35 late fee. You can call them and say, hey, you know, act blind. I do that. Sometimes, you know, life happens when you're too busy to pay. I don't have all my bills on auto pay. There's some that fluctuate, so I would rather just pay it on my own time. But sometimes I can get really, really busy and I forget, and I would get hit with the late fee. You can call them and say, hey, you know, I'm sorry, but by any chance, can you waive the late fee? I'm willing to pay today. It just totally slipped my mind. I forgot, and they'll do it for you. They're really that nice if you can do that. Now, if you didn't make that payment today and you waited next month on the 16th to pay it, that's the 30th day, and that's when it gets reported 30 days late. It doesn't get reported when you're a day late. It gets reported when you're 30 days late. That's why it shows up on your credit report with the number 30. 60 means that you were 2 months late from the last, the 2 months ago. So if you caught up on 1 month and you didn't catch up on the following month, like on the month of June, like next month is on the 16th, and you didn't make that payment and payment, you're still going to be late. You're still going to be 30 days late because you didn't take care of June either. So you don't want to be that many days late. It's going to take you forever to catch up. If you know you're going to be 1 month late, try to come up with both payments on the next month if you have to. Don't come up with just one, because now you're going to be 1 month late every single month until you catch up. So try to pay it off if you can, but don't let it report. Call them and let them know before it even hits, because from that point on, it's hard to try to get late pays off. It's so hard. Unless you write them a letter, pleading. Sometimes you gotta plead, like, oh my gosh, it's affecting me getting my job. Whatever sob story that you gotta give them, they gotta feel you, and then they'll take off the late pay. That's how you get that off. But you don't ever want to be late. Okay, any other questions, y'all? Any other questions? So I move on. Okay, let's move on to the next. Okay, so the next part here. I'm sorry, here. The length of credit. The length of credit is how long you had credit for. So if you have not started building credit, you need to now, because they have this data that's called the trended payment data. They want to see 24 months of your habits, your credit habit. So if you have not built good positive credit within the last 2 years, they're going to see your past, because they're looking from now and 24 months back. So you want to start building it. So if you guys are trying to buy a home, start building it now. I know I commend you for guys starting on building your credit, and you're looking to buy a house next year. That's more than enough time. Sometimes they'll look at what you did for the past year. They'll see the other year before that, but at least you've gotten a head start. But they want to see 2 years of history. They call that the trended payment data. So they no longer look at credit scores anymore. They look at your habit. So say, for instance, that you have $1,000, right? And you almost maxed out. You have $800 balance on there, and you've been making minimum payments of $25. That does not look good. If you use $800, at least pay $500 of it. If you use $800 of it, at least pay $750 of it. But don't pay the minimum. You can do that for a month or two if you're strapped on cash, but you got to pay it down, because they look at that. See, the way they're going to look at it is that you're living off your credit and you don't have no cash in the bank, and all you can afford is $25. And technically you are saying that all I can afford right now is $25, but try to pay more. Try to pay 2, 3, 4 times more than the minimum payment they're asking you to do. And even if you're strapped for cash and you can't make not one payment on your credit cards, at least make the minimum. You don't ever want to be late. Don't ever want to be late. Some of these minimums are so low. You can make that. Make that on time, and then that way you don't have to worry about any late pays or any late payments showing up on your credit. At least make the minimum. But try to pay off as much as of your balance as much as possible. That's going to actually help you pay less in interest overall, because they charge you interest every time you're carrying a balance. So whatever balance that you're carrying over the following month, they charge you 15%, 23%, 25%, ridiculous numbers. So you don't want to have a high balance where you're going to be charged $15 for interest, or $25 or $100 on interest every month. You know, that's way too much. That could have went on your savings account. So you don't want to keep a balance and you're being charged interest, you know, every single month. Try to pay it down. So length of credit is important. The longer you have credit, the more trusted you are. You are solid. You are rooted. The longer you have credit. I know I hear some people, you know, they'll have a credit card that they cannot stand. Every time they make a payment, it just feels like the balance is not going down. Yeah, it's because of the interest. You know, you can be making a $25 payment on a $500 card. Your $25 payment, only $10 went towards the principal and $15 went towards the interest. That's not putting any kind of dent on the balance. So you don't want to keep a high balance and be charged interest every single month. So people would get frustrated and pay it all off when they get their tax return, and then they close the card. That's the worst thing to do. At least pay it off and just, you know, tuck it away somewhere, but do not close it, because guess what? You close that card, say that you started this 5 years ago, you lose 5 years of history. Now I'm gonna calculate that with you guys. Let's do 550 points times 0.15. I'll tell you how many points you'll lose if you close a card. 550 times 0.15. What do you have? 82.5? Yep. You'll lose a good, I wouldn't say you will lose all 82 points, because if you have other credit cards on your credit report that's probably older than that card that you close, that will actually keep you afloat. But if you close that one card, you lose a chunk of that history. You may lose 50 points. You may lose 30 points. You may lose all of it. If it was the only card that you have, you'll lose all of it. So you definitely want to keep those accounts open. The longer you have it, the better. You want to build solid relationships. So this comes to my next one. Let's do mixture of credit. Let's do mixture of credit. Mix of credit is the different types of accounts. You look better when you have multiple accounts that you're managing. It's almost like if you're in business and you want to hire a tax professional, or say like an accountant, you want to know how many accounts have they balanced. You want to know how skillful they are when it comes to balancing the books, balancing the checkbooks, balancing different types of accounts. Let's say a stockbroker. A stockbroker, they manage multiple accounts. They manage multiple stocks for people that are paying in. So if you are that skillful in managing books, stocks, things like that, that's how they look at it. Having a mixture of credit actually looks good. Now the mixture of credit, you got installments and you got revolving. Installments are like you are given a lump sum of money and you're making installment payments until it's paid off. Is a student loan is an installment. Personal loan is an installment. A car note is an installment. Mortgages are installment payments. They give you a lump sum and then you make payments until it's all paid off. That's an installment. Revolving is a credit card. Revolving is never ending. It's constantly revolving. What you use is what gets reported. You pay it down. It goes down, however you do it. But it's constantly revolving. It's never ending. So that's the reason why it's called a revolving. You want to have revolving. You want to have installments. As many installments, not I wouldn't say as many installments, but you need a couple of installments, but you need a lot of revolving. Especially if you want to hit that 850 credit score, you need at least 21 accounts to hit an 850. So I say don't strive for an 850 credit score. Try to, oh, hold on 1 second. 1 second. Oh. Yeah, so you want to have as many installment accounts. You want to have as many revolving accounts. I don't want to say go crazy, but you want to have at least 2 revolving and 1 installment. Most of you guys have student loans. That's good. Especially if you have multiple student loans that's reporting on your credit, that's actually good because it shows as 1 account. A lot of people look at it like an eyesore, but it's actually good, especially if you had them open for a while. Now, that's an installment. So the more finance company loans, the lower the score, pretty much. But you want to have you want to have a mixture of credit on that one. Let's do, now that category there makes up 55 points. So you gradually gain 55 points in term. It doesn't just 55 points you get. It gradually goes up because is an algorithm on that one. Is a certain amount of accounts that you need to have. Actually, 21 accounts you want to have to get the full 55 points in that category. So so you may know some people that's in the 800s and they haven't even touched 850 yet. Is because if they haven't gotten, if they don't have 21 accounts, they're not going to hit 850. And again, I say don't even stress yourself to even try to hit 850. It's just bragging rights. You want to at least be at a 720. You at a 720 credit score, they roll out the red carpet for you. So don't hurt yourself trying to get an 850. Is just bragging rights because they treat you the same as someone to have a 750 credit score. It's no different. The next one is accumulation of debt. The accumulation of debt is the number of credit inquiries that you have and opening dates. I know a lot of you guys are like, oh, I want all those inquiries off. I have so many. Guess what? It's only a low impact on your score. You see, it's only 10%. It doesn't affect you as much as a payment history and how much credit you've used. That takes up a chunk of your credit score. Having inquiries don't take up as much of your credit score. It's only up to 50 points. You don't want to have too many. You don't want to be out there applying for everything to see who is going to, approve you. Don't do it. If your credit score is not up to par, do not attempt to approach anybody or any bank to borrow money until you get your credit right. It's almost like you want to put your best foot forward. You don't want to come to them hoping that they will lend to you because guess what? You're going to get hit with that high interest rate. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty. Especially when you see the amount of money that you pay for that high interest rate. And I'll show you on that next slide. All right, so that makes up 50 points. That makes up 50 points. Now, as far as like when you're applying for credit, you don't want to apply for too much credit at one time. It looks as if you're desperate, right? So you want to make sure that you stay within 6 inquiries within 6 months or less. But you don't want to apply for too much credit because, you can lose points in that category. All right, so let's go to the next slide. Oh, anybody have any questions before I move on to the next slide? Nope, no question? No questions? Okay. Oops. This is the last one, and then we'll open up for questions and answers. Okay, so interest on a mortgage. I know a lot of you guys are looking to purchase a home, and that's the reason why I pulled this one out. I usually do the car, the difference between a car, but I wanted to pull out the mortgage so that way I can show you the difference. Ooh, hold on.
What? Oh.
Oh, hold on. Okay, I guess you can hear me. Okay, so I want to break down to you guys the difference on a mortgage. So how your score can help you save money. It's no secret that better FICO scores often mean better rates, but did you know that the difference of few points could help you save hundreds, even thousands of dollars on fees and interest? All right, so we're going to do the math, and I want you guys to pull out your calculators again. We're going to do the math. Now, I remember when I had bad credit. I remember when I bought my 2 cars. My 2 cars, before I even learned about credit, the question I always ask, and I know many of you guys ask the same question because I hear it all the time, how much my payment is going to be a month, right? That's the question we want to ask when we're financing anything, car, house. We want to be able to know how much we'll be able to afford based on, you know, what we take home and things like that. We want to be comfortable. We don't want to be house poor, or we don't want to be poor after financing. We want to be able to know that we can save some type of money in the bank. So we want to know how much our payment is going to be to see if we can afford it. So sometimes we think that they can work out that number for us, you know, so they can make it, you know, fit. And then sometimes you may find yourself is like way over budget. Like you were only expecting to pay $250, or you wanted to only pay $250, but they can only get you like what, $380 something or $400, and you're like, man, see, this is why I didn't want to come and check to see if I can get a car, because I can't get a $250 payment. But guess what? The better your score, the less the interest that you pay, because it's the interest rate that is causing you to pay higher than what you can afford. And I'm going to break this down to you, and so that way you guys can understand. The same rule applies when it comes to financing a car too. All right? I want you guys to understand the calculation and remember this formula. So when you're buying a new car and when you're buying a house, the first question should be, what is my interest rate? It shouldn't even be about how much my payment is going to be. Because if you were to take away interest altogether, let's do that. Let's do that math. If we were to take away interest, if there was no such thing as interest, right? And we were to do $300,000 and divide that into 30 years. Hold on. If we were to do $300,000 and divide that into 30 years, I believe 30 years is 360 months. Let me know if that's correct. Hold on. 30 years divided by, oops. 30 years divided by, 30 years times 12. That's 360 months. Okay, so let's do the math. If we really think that dividing the $300,000 in 360 months is going to determine what our monthly payment is going to be, that's not how it's calculated. If we were to do away the interest, it would be 300,000 divided by 360 equals $833 a month if there was no interest. Okay, so same rule applies when you get a credit card and they say 0 interest. Let's look at it that way. It's like same as cash. So whatever you use on that credit card is what you pay with no interest. Now, if we including interest, this is how I'm going to calculate this for you, how it works. Okay, so if we were to do away with interest and there was no such thing as interest, our payment on a $300,000 loan, on a $300,000 mortgage would be only $833. That's doable, right? Of course, that's cheap if we were to look at it that way, but that is not how it works in the finance world. When you're financing and you're paying interest, the interest payment is what's going to determine what your true payment is going to be with interest and principal. So I'm going to show you guys how to calculate that. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, so let's do the calculation. Now, the way that they calculate interest, so you see the 760 credit score and the 620 credit score? You see the difference on a credit score there? Okay, so let's go to the next. You see the interest rate. The interest rate that was given to the person with a 760 credit score is a 3.89%, while the person with a 620 credit score was given a 5.4%. Now, today's interest rates on homes right now is a 4.5. It went from a 3.5 to a 4.5. That's the minimum. There's no 3.5 or 3.8 right now. It's at 4.5 until it changes. So 4.5 is the lowest interest rate, especially on the FHA. They're giving away 4.5 interest rates on that. So you see the person with a 760 credit score was given a 3.89 and the 620 was given a 5.4. Now let's look at the difference between the monthly payment. You see the monthly payment? $1,413, and the person with a 620 credit score, their rent or their mortgage is $1,699. Let's do the difference in the math there. How much they're paying in difference? Oh, it says right there, $256 difference between the two. So the person with the better credit score is actually paying $256 less than someone with bad credit. You see it? You see it? Okay. $256. Let's multiply that by 12. That's about $3,072 in difference. In difference. We can put that money in our bank account. We can save that money. You don't have to buy with bad credit. When they tell you, I can get you approved with a house with a 580 credit score, don't do that. Don't do it. Don't do it. Look at the number. Look at the difference. It's only 2% difference. It's only a 2% difference between the two. If you just work on your credit just a little bit longer, you can save a whole lot more monthly. And I can't tell you that it's going to take you 6 months, a year, but if you just follow the plan that I give you, if I say get a credit card, if I say you to get this particular credit card, get it. And I should explain that to you on how that works. But get it, because it will actually help you. Do not wait on it, because the longer you wait, the longer it would take for you to build the credit. Because listen, the time that you open up that credit card is the date that your history starts. So you don't want to start 6 months later when you got the money. You got to do it now. You got to do it now, because you're missing out on 6 months of history. You want to start building it now. So that's the reason why I wanted to talk to you guys about this and show you like how credit scores are calculated, so you understand the importance. When I say, hey, apply for this credit card, apply for it. Do it now. Do it now. We got to come up with the money. We got to go borrow money. Put it on there. Just open it up, get it started, because you wanted to start reporting something positive right now. Or you just have to wait another year or two until you're ready. You know? All right, so that's a difference between the two. $256. So in total interest on top of that $300,000 mortgage, the principal, in total interest paid with the person with the good credit score, they paid $208,659 in interest in 30 years on top of the $300,000. So in total, they bought that house for $508,659. While the person with the 620 credit score, they paid an interest $311,655. So in total, in 30 years, they bought that house for $611,655. The difference between the two in interest payment is $102,995. That's the difference between the two. Now I'm going to help you guys calculate this. So again, when you guys start financing, the question you're going to ask is, how much is my interest payment? Hi. I know Nana's here. I know. All right, bye. I'm at a webinar. Bye. Close the door. Close the door. Bye. 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 I'm sorry. That's my nephew. Okay, so the difference between the two is $102,995 difference. You see that? You see that, y'all? You see it? Okay. So let's pull out the calculator. Everybody got their calculator? Let me see a one. I don't know if y'all still there. I see 8 people on. Let's go. Let's pull out your calculator. Let me know when you're ready. We're going to do the calculation. So this way, you guys know how to calculate interest in your payments. And you won't ask the question, how much my monthly payment is going to be. You know how to calculate credit interest rates. So let me know if you guys see it. Press 1. Let me know if you guys are still alive. All right, thank you. All right, awesome. Okay. All right, so let's pull out the calculator. So the way that they calculate your interest, they charge you 3.89% on the total balance that you owe. All right. I think it would be better if I was to pull out. Let me pull out an amortization table. Hold on for 1 second, y'all. Hold on 1 second. Let me pull out the amortization table. Okay, so here we go. Can you guys see my screen? All right, so I'm going to show you the difference between what I was sharing right here. Here. Okay, so we're going to do a loan amount. The loan amount is going to be a purchase. We're going to do it on both. Right, a purchase. And we're going to do 30 years, right? So one person had 3.98%, 3.89%. And I'll just put today's. And this person was given 5.77, 5.477. Okay, so you remember, oops. Okay, so you guys see the numbers are the same here. This is with a person with a 760 credit score, and you see their payment is $1,433 indeed, right? I'm going to show you guys how it's broken down in payments. So you see how it's $1,433? I mean, $1,413, and this one with a higher interest rate was given $1,699. You see the $1,699? Okay. So I'm going to teach you guys how to break down the interest payment. So let's pull out our calculator. Let's pull out our calculator.
Okay. You seen the shorts? Huh?
Okay, so I'm going to show you guys. So let's bring out our calculators. Okay, so let's do 300,000 times 300 times 0.0389. So that's 300,000 times 0.0389. What do you guys have? Okay, thank you, Trakelia. Okay. Okay, so $11,670, right? Now, we're going to divide that into 12 months because we're trying to figure out how much interest you're paying that first month when you're making your $1,413 payment. So let's divide that into 12 and let's see what we got. $11,670 divided into 12. What do we got? Okay. Thank you, Trakelia. Okay, so Trakelia came up with $972.50. You see the interest here? $973. Okay, on the $1,400 payment, $973 is going towards the interest, and $441 $441 is going towards your principal. So next month, the balance is going to be $299,559 next month that you're going to be charged 3.89% on that balance. So next month, your interest payment is going to be $971, and towards the principal is going to be $442. Now you're going to start seeing the breaking even when you get to a couple of years. Hold on. See the interest payments go down, the principal balance go up. This how much you paid. This how much the interest, and so forth. So the balances are going down every year, every month actually. So what I like to teach my clients is that you don't want to buy into a house with bad credit, because if you are willing to accept a $1,600 mortgage with bad credit, how about you just wait a year or two and get your credit score up to a 700, a 760, and then get the mortgage at 1,400. Since you were settling to get the mortgage at 1,600, how about you just pay the extra $250 if you were willing to pay a mortgage of $1,700? How about you pay up to $1,700? Guess what you're doing? Every time you're paying extra every month towards your $1,400, instead of paying $1,400, you're paying $1,800 instead. You already know that $972 was going towards the interest payment, and the other $400 was going towards the principal. So instead, $900 will be going towards the interest, and you'll have $800 towards the principal. So next month, your balance is a lot lower than what it would have been if you had just paid $1,400. See, the whole point of this whole thing is that you want to get the lower interest so you can pay a little bit more towards it and be done with the loan in less than 30 years. You want to be done with it in 15 years. You want to be done with it in 5 years. You can pay off a mortgage in 5 years if you are planning to do that. The less that you pay, the less time that you pay on a mortgage, the more you save. Because what you want to do, you just wanted to get the mortgage to own a house. Your plan should not write it out to 30 years. It shouldn't be to write it out to 30 years. You're going to pay almost double for that house. You want to be done with that in a shorter time. If you were to calculate you and your husband, you and your significant other, or just you, calculate how much you can put towards it. It's your house. I mean, it's your mortgage. You just want to pay the bank less than $200,000 on interest payments. That money could have gone towards another house. That money could have gone towards a business. That interest payment that you're paying, it could have gone towards somewhere else. You don't want to buy anything with bad credit because you're losing a lot of money doing it that way. Okay, you following me? Okay, thank you, Trakelia. You following me? That's the whole point. Like, I'm in this credit repair business not only to help you, but I'm also here to also educate you. Because I don't know anybody else that will actually take the time to get you guys to understand that. You know, don't fall prey into someone telling you that they can get you a house with a low credit score. It does not help you. As you can see this illustration, it does not help at all. And if anybody is trying to sell to you with a bad credit score, they are not trying to help you. They're just trying to add commissions into their pockets. I'm just being straight up. I'm just being straight up. You know, a lot of us, I don't blame us for not being educated because, you know, they should have taught us this in school. They should have taught, somebody in our family should have taught us this. You're welcome, Melanie. Somebody else should have taught us this. And that's why I'm in position to teach you guys. I'm not even in here to just try to do your credit because you guys could have done it yourself. But I know time is of the essence. Time, you can't, that's the best commodity that you can have. You cannot buy commodity. You cannot buy time back. So if you guys are hiring me for the services, that's great. But at the same time, I want to educate you guys. I do not want us to fall prey with the hopes of somebody approving us with bad credit because you can get your credit up. I did. Let me tell you, I did not know that I can have a 700 credit score. I really didn't. I'm gonna tell you, I was so ignorant. I thought that white people only had 700 credit score. I thought we were born into bad credit. I thought we were born into sin. Like they say we were born into sin. I thought we were born into bad credit. I really did. I did not understand now one thing until I picked up a book and I read and I implemented too. It took me 4 years to get here. And why I'm in this business, instead of it taking you 4 years, I can take you there in a shorter time if you just follow my instructions. That's it. That's it. I want you guys to get on this credit thing like now because I want us to actually build wealth. Even though you guys are looking at this number and you're like, man, I don't know if I want to buy a house. Look at all that money. But guess what? If you got good debt, like I know a lot of people that say, oh, I don't want no credit card because I don't want to go into debt. But guess what? It's all a matter of how you use the credit. Credit do not get you into debt. It's your bad habits that get you into debt. So you have to use it wisely. As I already showed you in some of the illustration how you need to use credit, you don't want it to show that you living off your credit. You don't want to show all that because when you're ready to borrow more money, they look at that. If you got a mortgage, oh my gosh, they will give you another mortgage. They will actually match up a credit card according to how much you owe on that house. So if you got a $200,000 home, you can have a $100,000 limit credit card. Because of that, they tend to match against the debt that you already got. If you're wondering how a lot of people are making it, when you got a mortgage and you want to borrow money to start a business, because you have a mortgage and you're paying it on time, you're actually paying more than what the minimum on that mortgage. They tend to give you more debt. More debt and more debt and more debt. It's not bad as long as you know how to manage it. So managing starts with budgeting. If you know how to budget your money, you will know how to budget your business. It's business. It's business. You got to know how to balance your books. And I'll be teaching you guys about budgeting. It's very, very important. You want to know where your money is coming from. You want to know where it's going. You don't want to just keep spending and you don't know where your money is going. If you don't know where your money is going, why are you borrowing? because that's putting you back in bad debt. Because one day when your money falls short, you're late. Now you got late pays. Now it's dropping your score. Now you just want to give up because it's not working for you. You wondering like, why is my score dropping? All this work I did, I just give up. So you don't want to go down that spiral. Is a hole that you don't want to go down to. So it's all a matter of knowing this knowledge that I'm giving you. And use it wisely. I want to see everybody, all my clients, I want to see all my clients do well. And let me tell you, like I quote Jay-Z's quote all the time, you know what's better than throwing your money in a strip club? Credit. You wonder how all these Jewish people buy all these properties in America? That's how they did it. They use other people's money to build wealth. And we can do that collectively. If I got my credit score at a 789, and you got yours at a 760, and Trakelia got hers at 800, you know we can all come up, we can come together and bring our money together and buy up a city? We can do that because they will lend according to our buying power. The higher your credit score, the higher the buying power you have. The lower the credit score, the lower the buying power you have. And even though they lend to you, you will get hit with a high interest rate. It just wouldn't make any sense to borrow then. Because now you got to pay back on top of that, 2 times on top of that. What savings is in that? You got to pay back plus the interest. So it's almost like you pay back and then you pay back half on top of that. It doesn't make any sense. They don't really make any money on people with good credit. Because people with good credit do not get charged much interest. 5% or 0. 0, that's like same as cash. That's the position you want to be in. You want to have a credit card with a 0% interest rate. That's like same as cash. I borrowed $200, I paid $200 back. I wasn't charged anything extra because I got good credit. You can buy a car right now. You can walk into the dealership. If they hear you got a 720 credit score or above, you can walk out of that car dealership with no money down. You can pick any car you want and drive out the lot. No problem. I got my boyfriend to that level, and he have a bankruptcy. I helped him build his credit, and he was able to get a bank loan from a credit union. Credit unions are the best. If you are not with a credit union, get with one. But he was able to walk out. Actually, he was able to negotiate his term. He said, I don't want to put no money down. I want all the dealer fees and all that in the cost of my loan. And they did. He walked out. I mean, they gave him a check. He picked out his car. They took his check, paid off the car, and that's it. He got the car with no money down. I was there to witness it. I'm not making this up. You can do that, but it's a matter of building credibility. Your credibility to the bank is what matters. So if you have not built credibility, which is why you're with me now, you want me to help you with credit, I'm telling you, building the credit is more important than the credit repair. Because the credit repair, I mean, yeah, I'm going to get the stuff off, but they want to see what you're doing. You know, you're erasing your past, but what you got going on right now? How are they going to build trust if you haven't built any credit? That's why the building part is very important. A lot of credit repair companies are not educating you on that part. That's what makes me different. I educate. That's the value in it. And you're paying way less than any other credit repair agencies that are not offering the education. So that's the difference. So I'm willing to educate you guys on that. If you guys have any questions, I know I can talk forever. I can go on and on and on. But I just want to get this information out to you guys. If you guys want another class, you guys can type 1. I'll do another class. You can tell me what you want to talk about on the next class, and we'll put that together. I'll actually try to put together a survey and ask you like what topics you would like to talk about, how often you would like to meet, so that way you guys can get as much education from me as much as possible. I mean, I have so much to share. It's just not enough time, but that's pretty much it. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to post it in the chat. We got 5 minutes. I'll wait for some questions, and then we'll go on from there.